episode about it. So Heather, so excited to have you with us. We just started recording. So I'm here with Thomas and Laura from the UK. And we are here for a hot seat call. So we wanted to ask you some questions about how you got started and all like your journey from how you found your coach, your background story, all that kind of stuff, so that we can help other coaches gain, like, further their business with maybe some of what happened to you. So I will start off by asking, what is your why and how did you use it? Oh, hi, April. I'm so glad you're here. What is your why and how did you use it to further your business?
Yes, absolutely. So to explain, I'm sure like everybody, to explain my why and how I used it, I have to explain a little bit about what my why is. And so, growing up, I just really I was exposed to a lot of things growing up, didn't have a big example of health, especially in terms of female role models in my life. Actually danced growing up. I danced with the Atlanta Ballet. I grew up in Georgia. And so I remember at a really young age being in the ballet studio and hearing the older girls in the bathroom, getting rid of their lunch and talking about eating disordered behaviors and things like that. And then when I was in college, I actually cheered in college, and it was kind of the same thing. I had male coaches and we were weighed every single week. And if you weighed more than your tryout weight, you had to run until you didn't anymore. And so I developed a full-blown eating disorder when I was in college. And just the women in my life, bless them. But I remember one time at Thanksgiving, my grandmother talking about this diet she was on, that she only ate things that were growing out of the ground. And I was like, really? Is that like, as women, and men too, I guess, but is that our lives? Like, are we going to be talking about losing those 5 or 10 pounds forever? And I have a 6-year-old daughter myself. And so a lot of it is just wanting to leave a legacy for women in general, but really her. And when I found my coach, I was in a really super dark place. So life kind of I had struggles, but life for the most part went according to plan until it didn't. And in 2015, we got pregnant with our second child, and we're expecting. And on October 15th, which is ironically Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day, we lost that child. And so statistics say 1 in 4 experience miscarriage. And I was the 1 in 4. 3 of my best friends from high school were pregnant at the same time. And so I knew, although it was really painful, I knew there was going to be purpose in that pain. And so I kind of tucked that away in my heart, but I also really wasn't taking care of my body. I'm an all or nothing person. So when I do something, I go full throttle. And at that point, it was like I was mad at my body. I felt like it had betrayed me. So I was going to betray it. And I had gained probably 40 to 50 pounds and just was in a really kind of low place. Last fall, my parents split up after probably 30 years. Somebody in my family attempted to commit suicide. I'm the one that found them. And so last fall, it was just this time of I needed to dig up that purpose and that hope. And so I have it with me today, actually, but this is kind of the culmination of that. It's a book that I wrote called Broken Hearted Hope. And that's how I found my coach, Emily Favre. So she had a post about, she has also had 4 losses, and she had a post about miscarriage. And I messaged her and was in the process of finishing up that book. And I said, would you be willing to let me share your story? So I know this is like I didn't find her through Beachbody. And so she said, I never thought she would message me back, but she did immediately. And she's in, I don't know what chapter, but she's in this book. But I started watching her journey. And she was in the pilot test group for 80-Day Obsession. And so not only her body, I could see her body changing, but this light was coming back in her eyes. And I remember thinking, I was spreading this message of hope for other people, but I felt like I was holding on to the heartbreak for me. I needed some of the hope that I was trying to spread. And so I saw this light coming back into her eyes and just said, hey, tell me about this 80-day program. And I knew she was a coach, and I said, but don't ask me to coach. Okay. That was like my first Beachbody message to her. Well, ironically, because my tone was, because I've done it all before, this is not my first time as a Beachbody coach. Back in, I think, 2013, I was a coach for literally, Doug Moss laughs at me when I say this, like literally 5 minutes. I was a coach. And so I think I sold one like a challenge pack and was like, life started happening and I just ran away from it before the 30 days was even up. So second time's a charm. But I told her I don't want to coach. She never had to ask me to coach. But I did go all in for 80-Day Obsession. Life still happened. So I connected with Emily, and in October, the book published. And as I was editing the book, we found out we were pregnant again. And as we were publishing the book, I lost it. So it became, I was writing the book from a fresh perspective. I had my third loss was in December of 2017. And then I had another loss January 11th of 2018. And if you remember 80-Day Obsession, the big group, launch group with Autumn started on January 14th. And I told Emily, I'm all in. I need to take care of me, and I'm going to commit to this because I saw her do it and I knew it was possible. So I just went all in. I followed people ask me all the time, did you follow the nutrition plan to a T and all of that? And I did, and it changed my life. And so how do I use my why is this it took me from a place of having no hope and feeling like looking in the mirror and not recognizing myself. And I feel like this is now a gift that I have to share with other people. So my why and my passion and my purpose, it really brought me back to life, and I really can't help but share it.
I love that so much. So we had a couple other people hop on. And I'm so, so grateful that you found Emily, and you're a published writer, and like you are our personal development, right? You are part of that. So it's absolutely beautiful how it kind of comes full circle. So April, Mary, Javen, you guys, you are more than welcome to ask questions now of Heather. So I know you guys didn't hop on at the very beginning, but some of Heather's background, she signed up in February last year and ended the year as a 7-star elite coach. So whatever questions you have for her, like Instagram, stories, whatever it is, please use this time now to pick her brain and absolutely ask questions. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself unless you guys actually will stay quiet in case they have questions.
Yeah.
And then you guys just go for it. Please don't be shy.
Well, I'm not shy. Thank you, Heather, for being on, and I apologize for being late. I guess the biggest question is, I'm about 6.5 years in as a coach, and like I would say, many of us really struggling to find the Marys out there who are really wanting to build. And I guess the big question is, obviously Instagram is big right now. There's a lot of great relationship building that's happening there for me, and that feels really great. My account is Faith and Fitness. I'm a very strong believer, and so people are really connecting with me with both faith and fitness, if you will. Did you feel like, as far as your recruitment efforts, did you feel like there was some real specific language that you were using to connect with people to, as far as the business opportunity, or did it seem to be different with everyone you talked to? Now, granted, I know we start with the build the relationship. I'm totally there. I know there are coaches out there who go right in with the direct invite, and that's not comfortable for me. So there's a build that happens there. But then what do you feel like was your really successful bridge messaging that got someone to say, you know what, I'm open to take a look?
Yeah. Well, I actually, I invite everybody. And so I think that's been a lot of my success since the day that I started 80 Day Obsession January 14th. And then I signed up as a coach February 20th. And I did just to give you guys some hope, I did all the things that you don't want challengers to do. So Emily had a share card out for me for like legitimately 4 months. And I'm the person that has to research and Google. So I did my own 14-day free trial of BOD and then did the quarterly BOD. And then finally was like, okay, fine, I'll sign up as a coach. I didn't tell my husband. I don't advise that, but I did. It made me work because I knew I wanted to make my income back. But it's something that my uplines have taught me, and I don't make the decision for people. I invite people to the coaching opportunity the same exact time that I send my Hey Girl and invite them to the challenge group. And so, and that's something I'm consistent. I mean, since I signed up February 20th, I show up. And, this is a 3 to 5 star diamond group. So I'm sure you guys do. I don't need to tell you guys about the vitals and things like that. But I do invite people and plant that coaching seed from the very beginning, whether I think they would ever want to or not. So when I talk about the challenge pack and the value and the price, and I'm pretty unapologetic about sharing. And so I just did my little text replacement here, and I present them with, to get you enrolled, you have 2 options. You can go this way and you can go this way. And to me, I look at it like I should present myself, not that I'm a nutritionist or a personal trainer, but I'm the expert in terms of this. And so I break down the value and tell them the loyalty or coach option is what I recommend. And that's something that my coaches taught me. I think Emily gets a lot of questions too about how do you get people to coach right away as a challenger? And to me, some of my greatest success has come from sharing the journey from the beginning. It was like she invited me to coach before I knew I didn't want to coach, but she knew what she was doing. She encouraged me to share every day, every step of the way. I actually even have my daughter and I used to do day 1, day 2 of our journey, and Emily encouraged that. And then we ran out of fingers for 80 days. So we got this, and we would post every day. And I did all the things that they say not to do as a coach with holding your Shakeology bottle and all the things. But I shared my journey from the beginning, and I feel like people related to that. So I always give people that opportunity and don't make the decision for you. And I have been so surprised at some of the people that have been like, yeah, I'll try the coaching thing. It'll give me added accountability. So I don't do a whole lot of use. I think you said something about you don't really go straight for it. What did you say about that?
Well, what I'm hearing you say sounds exactly like what I'm doing. So I don't share the coaching opportunity in the invitation, but I share it in step 4, which is basically when I get to once step 2 is done and we've done the interview and I know more about their goals and all that stuff, and we go to step 3 and I tell them about the group and how the group works and my coaching. And then we get to step 4, which is really the breakdown and the pricing. And then I use Danielle Natoni's amazing conclusion, which is, here's a whole list. Tell me the things you want from the list, the beach bars, the performance line, and all that stuff. And I'll create a cart for you. But right before that, I do have a little video. It's me speaking, and it does give them the purchase options. And I say you have 2 purchase options. Like you, I offer either purchase option for every single solitary person that I start to work with. What I guess I was saying is I don't, at the onset of literally reaching out to someone on, let's say, Instagram stories to thank them for following my stories, I don't say, hey, I got this. Thanks for following my stories. Hey, I got this group. Are you interested? I'll say, thanks for following my stories. Do you connect with me more as it relates to faith or fitness or a bit of both? And then we sort of have a little bit of an exchange. And then I'll say, hey, I yo-yoed for years. I'm 48 years old. I finally figured it out. I'd love to invite you to be a part of our amazing fit family and go into the invitation that way. So I guess the question becomes then, it sounds like maybe your flow is similar to mine. You have recruited a whole lot more than I have at this point. I'm trying to figure out, once you got your challengers, my challengers seem to, and maybe it's the age thing, but I'm attracting more mid to late 30s into 40s, maybe 50s. And what they seem to say, and they're amazing, amazing customers, like super loyal discount coaches. They're so excited. They're all pumped up. They do not feel like they're qualified to share or, to start to coach and work the business until they feel like they've had results of their own. And I keep going round and round with them. No, bring on the journey with you. The whole thing that you just said. And they're like, thank you, but I really have to feel like I'm successful before I can turn around and help someone else. And so, I struggle with that when it comes to my own challengers, my own customers.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we follow a similar process, but mine is very short and sweet and simple. So I do go for it. So I look at it, and Danielle is actually my great grandma upline. And so I don't do cold market, and I have this warm market mentality, which means that if somebody likes my post, follows me, or watches my story, I give them an invitation because I share every day, multiple times a day. So, if you come to my page and you follow me, you like me, you watch me, I'm about faith and fitness. And so I am unapologetic. If you interact with me in some way, you are getting a Hey Girl. And I just don't, me personally, I am not, I'm super introverted, believe it or not. And so I just I get straight to the point because when people are like, hey, I love your dog or your sweater. And then later they're like, hey, you want to try this or be a tester? And I just feel weird about it. And so I go straight into the invitation process because I look at it like it's my job to build a relationship on my timeline and in my stories. So by the time they've gotten the Hey Girl from me, they are like, oh, I feel like I know you already. Yes, I would love to be a part of this and that kind of thing. And so I go straight for the invite. After the invite, I explain what's in the challenge group and break down the price. My husband's an accountant, so I use the way I had to break it down to him and that value. And then finally, the last step is giving them the two choices of either challenger or coach. I don't do the video. It's that quick of a process. And so I think streamlining that process is huge. But my rock star coach, actually my most solid coach, is in her mid 40s. And so I just encourage people, speed of the leader, speed of the pack. And so I just encourage people to share their journey just like I have from the very beginning, whether they think they want to coach or not, because people will relate to the journey. So.
Thank you. That's awesome. Not that I'm ever a person that takes someone's language or messaging and literally copies and pastes it, but to maybe be able to wrap my head around it, would you mind sharing your Hey Girl, what does that initial connection look like where it has the invitation right in it right away?
Well, I'll read it. I do. So
okay.
And I've had coaches try to use this exact Hey Girl before, and it doesn't work for them unless it's because when you send it and then they go to your page and they're like, wow, this doesn't sound like you at all. So that's kind of my, I guess, warning. But I say, hey girl, thanks for following along with my faith and fitness journey. I wanted to see if you're not already, because like we all do, I was getting a ton of coaches and people in other challenge groups. If you'd be into joining one of my challenge groups to grow into confidence and faith and get healthy from the inside out. That's what I'm about. And so we'll focus on nutrition, motivation, accountability, working out, workouts optional now with 2B and coming portion fix, and support. Let me know if you or anyone you would know would be into it. And that is so key, that one little phrase, and I'll tell you why. And then I compliment them. So I do kind of use the peanut butter and jelly method that we've all heard about. But the phrase about let me know if you or anyone you would know would be into it, that almost plants the coach seed right off the bat, because I've had people that are like, I had one girl that I'm pretty sure she went Ruby her first day because she was like her mom, her sister, the secretary where she worked, another sister and her mother-in-law, like all signed up. And I was like, okay, you need to coach. And she was like, well, what's that? So really just planting the seed that this doesn't have to be you alone. You can do this with other people and that kind of thing. So that's my very first message.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
That totally helps me to wrap my head around it.
Good.
Sorry, Mary. There you go.
Don't apologize to me. I love this, Heather, though, because when you said if you or anyone you know is interested, and that sets them up for coaching, but at the same time, like, we're all going for elite here. We're all going for elite or premier in this group, and that absolutely takes care of one of the categories, and it's just built in. So I love that. And then I wanted to ask you, and so this is just one of my questions. So Jabe and April, Mary, like, you guys chime in. I absolutely am curious about when you say post your journey, like whether it's for the coaching opportunity or not, how do you frame that with them? If they're like, no, I don't want to, or like, I don't get it, why should I post my journey? How do you frame that? Because it's just you wanting them to share and kind of setting them up for success.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I get the privilege of learning from some of the best. And so the way that Emily did it is she posted a picture of her fridge. And so she challenged us to do the same exact thing. And so it doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be your before picture or anything like that. She really just encouraged everyone to be public with their journey. So the loved ones in their lives know, like, you know, because once you do that, you're like, you know, you post your meal prep, you post your fridge, you post your weight, just something that you're about to embark on this journey. It's accountability. It makes it public. So that was one of the I wasn't even a coach then. And she encouraged us as challengers to publicly announce the journey in a very non-threatening way, whether it be your meal prep, your fridge, your picture of your weights, whatever. I'm starting something new tomorrow. You might see me start to share my journey, but, you know, prayer is appreciated, or accountability, or whatever. And it just felt very non-threatening. I didn't feel like posting my fridge was invading my privacy at all. So it was a neat way to start the journey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. Other questions? Come on, guys. This is an amazing opportunity. April.
I'm here. Hey, Heather. Thank you so much for sharing. I love how you post and just the beauty behind it. So sorry for your loss. I have definitely watched some of your story unfold too. I don't have a problem being open and bold about inviting. I cut right to the chase too. I feel like if they are going to get to know me a little bit better, they're going to know that I'm pretty bold and opinionated and things like that. So why not just go ahead and do it from the beginning? The thing that I have struggled with the last 2 years, I've been a coach 3.5 years, is I can get amazing results for my challengers. I get them to sign up as coaches. I haven't had a problem signing coaches. I have a problem getting them past that initial sharing and talking about their journey just a little bit to finding success with the business. So I've gotten my elite points the last 2 years, but I don't have those beautiful little diamonds. So I'm wondering kind of what you do to set your girls up for success and how to support them as they move forward with the business part rather than just the health and fitness.
Absolutely. So last year I was there. I mean, I think I hit 2-star in 56 days. And I remember telling Doug that I was going to be 3-star in 30. And like, I was just going to keep up all this momentum. And then this thing happened where I was 2-star in, I guess it was April, May. And then sat there. I was at 2-star, and I would go like 3 qual and drop and 3 and drop. And I was like 2 for the whole year. And I had the elite points, and it was like, I'm going to finish this year with the points and at 2-star. And, you know, it was my first year. So there was a point in time where I was like, you've done good. Like, it's fine. You can do elite next year. And then I was like, you know, you're so close. And so the smartest thing that I ever did, and I am going to implement it from now on, is I was like, you know what? I'm just going to share my vision and my goal and see if they catch the wave. And I actually wrote this down. But I have this, it's a group me group. once you are Emerald and above and you hit Success Club. So they're like, I consider them runners. They're people that are demonstrating that they're working the business. And so from that Emerald group, there were some that were kind of negative and stuck in the business. And I recognized really quickly, and I don't know if I shared that I'm a professor at the University of Alabama. So I feel like the teacher comes out in me. And so I was like, you know what, I've got to get the bad apple, not that sounds bad, but I've got to get the bad apples out of the bunch. And so I pulled the people that were runners, but positive and caught the same vision that I did into a tech strand. Tech strands are magical. And so there were 7 of them, and I put them in this tech strand, and I was like, look, what do y'all want to dash for? Because I had talked about doing this beach retreat, and they were like, you know, they didn't seem that excited about that. And I was like, what will you dash for? So I said, let them be a part of the vision and the dream. And they came up themselves and decided they wanted to go to Disney World. And I was like, I'll take you guys where, like, that's fine. Like, I will take you to Mount Everest if that's what you're going to work for. And so we just, like, as soon as they decided that, like, we were dashing for Disney and like hashtag, and we had this text strand. And so we literally went into qualification November 21st, which was the last week you could. And I was like, we have to have at least 5 to go elite. So I said, we're not going to Disney unless we end the year as an elite team. So that was the goal. And so I had them in the tech strand. And so they all dashed for diamond. And it was like, you know, emeralds that had just been kind of hanging around for a while. And they decided they were going to dash for diamond. And I was like, really, guys, the last week we could go into qual, you decide to do this together. But instead of 5, like, I was literally nervous if we were going to get 5. And so literally with minutes to spare, all 7 did it. And then so each week during qual, I would check in, like, are you solid? Who's this? Who's doing that? And I, you know, again, teacher, and my husband, who was so skeptical about this in the beginning, Mary, I think, knows that a little bit, but he was like, instead of telling them what to do, why don't you show them what you are doing? And I was like, oh, okay. So every day I would get in that text strand, and this was before we had the business activity tracker. But I'm visual, again, teacher inside me, but I had a slay the day, and I would come in and show my slay the day, and I minimum invite 40 to 80 people every day. And I would be like, day slayed. And they would come in and say, slay the day, this and that. And we just ran together. And then it became this crazy, like, each week it became hashtag 7 strong. And that's how we went from 2 to 7 star in seemingly 1 week, because of that text strand. And now I was like, well, it worked for them, so why couldn't it work for new coaches? So every month I do a coach sneak peek, and the brand new coaches go through a getting started right call. And the very next day they do an Emerald in 24 hours. And then I put them in I think there was like 16 of them for January. I put them in a text strand together. And so they almost feel like this graduating class, and they're popping in every day. And some of them are already Emerald, and they've split up into 2 groups and they're doing these free challenge groups. And it's just like, almost people just need the community. And once you put them in there, and instead of telling them, you showed them, and then they've got that sister. I mean, as women, we crave that sisterhood and competition, let's be honest. And so the tech strands have been humongous in terms of really momentum and success. And Emily and Ashley, you know, Emily, March of last year was Diamond, and then went Superstar Diamond by Summit. And our pod did kind of the same thing. She put us in a text group, and we still are like best friends. Like one of the girls had a baby today, and we're all like anxiously awaiting the pictures. And so the text strand in the community has been instrumental in pushing people for success.
Heather, literally a text, like text on the phone?
or text on the phone.
Okay.
And it's funny. So I'm like, so you have to have an iPhone because it's super inconvenient if you aren't. But I've had coaches that literally go get iPhones so they can be in these text strands. It's hilarious, but it works.
And one thing about this that I love is it's 100% duplicatable.
Yes.
Like a lot of times coaches come up with systems and stuff and they're like, I do this and it works for me, but I can't duplicate it with my new coaches. This is 100% duplicatable.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I love about it. It's awesome. I love that. Okay. Other questions, guys? We have about 10 minutes. So ask it up. Do you guys have any questions yet?
No.
They come up the best ones.
Let's come up back one.
Javen, come on, girl. I know it's like burning inside you.
I think my question has a lot more to do about my coaches and like how I respond to them. I'm new. I'm like 21 months into the business too. But I still feel like my struggle is leadership. I'm really young and all of my coaches are in my hometown. So that has its pros and cons as well. But their struggles always seem to come from knowing what to post. And I tell them all the time, it comes from your life, your PD, your experiences, sharing what you're going through. But I don't think they're listening to me. So what advice do you give your coaches about posting besides the normal, PD, sharing your journey?
Yeah. So one of the best, I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube somewhere, or I can send it to Mary, but Ashley Molstad does this training about being your own brand. And she literally talks about all of those things. And I also just soak it in. Like I remember I just follow top coaches and never copy, but it's like, they're obviously doing something right. So I just try to emulate what they're doing for my life, like my 5 things, like take those. And really, if you are, and I've been there, I've been in the posting rut myself, it's like, are you posting with purpose or are you posting to post? And I think it's dangerous to get in the place that you're just posting sweaty selfies to post a sweaty selfie for the day. And to me, if you're doing your personal development every day, like you're doing your personal development, you're filling your mind, you're remembering your why, your daily, you should have something to say every day. And so when people run out of stuff to say, that's an indicator of you're not doing your personal development. Or if you are, you need to go find something that sets your soul on fire, because whatever you're reading or listening to does not. And so, and I just did a call for our team about sharing your story and not selling. I think so many people forget that, once you're trying to attract strangers on Instagram, and there are so many Beachbody coaches, and just like I shared my story, I didn't find Emily because of her side-by-side transformation picture. I found her because of a picture of an ultrasound, because I had experienced the same loss that she had. And so I think you've got to dig deep and figure out who you are. And, I'm from a small town in Alabama. And so I've struggled with that too. I feel like I am young and half of my coaches are older than me, and like, and I'm new and they're new, and like, who am I? But I think that's something that was a pivotal difference between that 2-star to like, am I really going to do this and be an elite coach? I had to start telling myself that I was a leader, and I had to start reading personal development instead of, it was like, I had the mindset and I had all of that. So I had to start pouring my personal development into myself that I could be the leader. And it's hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and tell you that it was the easiest thing it was hard. Those 6 weeks of qualification were the hardest things probably I've ever done. And it's still hard. Because I feel like coaches sometimes get really excited, especially us being new. They get excited and they run with you, but then they run out of steam because they can't seem to run at the same pace as you. And so that's why I never stop recruiting. That's what people have taught me, is your rock star coaches may not be your coaches right now. You've got to continue to recruit people to coaching. And I think what I've seen, what I've watched from Emily and Ashley's team, and I think my team now, it's starting to happen, is sometimes the newbies come in and get really excited and reignite some of the older coaches. And the older coaches are like, oh, well, I want to do that, or I want to run too. And so just telling yourself every day that you are a leader, no matter how old you are, and just leading by speed of the leader, speed of the pack. And I know I was told one time that whatever you do, your people are going to run at probably half that pace. And it's true. And so, you know, if you want them to be 1 star or hit a certain success club, I feel like you need to do double that. And so I just try to share everything. And it's hard. Like, I'm not a manager. Managing people is really the hardest thing you ever do. And I think it's just pouring into yourself and continuing to find the new people. So.
Awesome.
Can I jump in and ask another question?
Yes.
If I get interrupted, I apologize. I run a church group, a yoga group here at my house, and so they're due any moment. Okay, so you have your sneak peek, and then once you enroll the coach, you do your DSR call, you get them in the thread, enrolled in 24 hours. I love that, by the way. Do you have an online new coach training of any sort to take them from there?
So I get the luxury again of like my uplines, but anyone could do it. So literally all they've done is just taken the trainings from corporate and YouTube and things like, they just take the best of the best from National Wake Up Calls and things like that and put it into a 14-day, it's Thinkific, a training. And so it's like a video, but I think the genius thing about it, because we all can watch all of the videos in the world, but if we don't start applying the videos, nothing happens, right? We just soak information and we sit in our fear. That's why my team is called Faith Over Fear, because I don't let them use that word. Like, we are not afraid, we just do things. And so that training, it's a video with homework. And one of the first homeworks is like your coming out post, and then you got to go invite 5 people, and then you got to go invite 3 people to coaching. And I remember I texted my coach and I was like, whoa, like, no, I will post the picture of my refrigerator, but I am not about to start inviting people. And she was like, just go do it and report back. And I was like, fine. And so I did. And I ended up like binge watching the 14-day training in 2 or 3 days. I'm competitive and so I'm like, I was the first person to graduate out of the training. But so I binge watched the training, and the only reason I stopped is if it was a homework where I had to post to my like timeline, and so then I would not post twice in one day. But just getting people out of that comfort zone early. Just like I had a call with some new coach. I have new coaches on my Team Cup right now, and some of them they're sharing their journey, but they're scared to death to private message invite. And so I told them, I want you to invite minimum 5 people every day. And if you really want to run for this, do 10. Like, you've got to get out of your comfort zone and scare yourself. But yeah, so we do have a 14-day training. And again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just think Thinkific is like it just takes you through and adds the homework to it. So
I love that implementation behind all of that. That's so key, because I've had so many coaches that come in, they're like, oh, do you have a training for this? Do you have a training for this? And I'm like, do something with your team. Jump and build your wings on the way down. That's what you have to do. You can't overtrain yourself and not implement. So 100% I agree with you. So guys, just a couple more minutes. So anything else? This is amazing. I hope you guys are taking notes. Like, I'm going crazy over here.
Okay.
No?
Super administrative question. God, I hate that I feel like I'm hogging this call. Please let somebody else jump in. Thinkific, yes. Okay, so Mary Day probably saw me post. We had a call, I don't know, several weeks ago or whatever, and the mastermind, and we were talking about onboarding. And everyone was sharing their new coach training and onboarding. And I finally today got a chance to like sit down and like look at everybody's stuff. And the one that I like I'm super OCD. And like you, I went and I did all of the new coach training in like 7 hours on a weekend 7 years ago. So it was back in the back office at the time. But anyway, I love this new coach training that's in Thinkific. It's super clean. It's super organized. And I was like, okay, great. Awesome. I love this. Did you hire someone to like put all that in your own? Because obviously hers is all, you know, I don't want to take the time to build that, but I love what's there. How did you go about creating your own, or are you still putting people in your uplines?
They're in my uplines. And so I take advantage of that. But I actually am in the process of, I feel like I'm at a point, and I did this because I am a full-time professor, I'm a working mom, a wife, you know. And so for so long, I rode on the coattails of my coach and my uplines. But I feel like I am at the point now, it's like, okay, Heather, you're an elite coach. Like and if you want to be an elite coach again, it's time to act like it. And so, you know, for me, do they need to see my uplines, or do they need to hear it from me? And so I think it's I know they literally like put their lashes and their lights on for one weekend and just did it. And it's not all them. I mean, some of them, it's like, you know, the video where it's Michael has the action figures and he explains the team cycle. So it's like a lot, those videos from the back office that are the training, but then it has the homeworks and stuff to go along with it. I think it's worth it. And I'm probably about to sit down and do my own, because I don't want to rely. I think sometimes we do that, is we rely on corporate and uplines to do things for us. And I think it's like, your people joined you for a reason, so they want to hear from you. And so that's something to be continued that I plan on. Right now it works and I add them, but it feels disconnected. Another thing too is I did in the beginning, but now I don't have one-on-one calls. I like, literally, if somebody says I want to coach, then there's a process. Like, they get added to the page. I have 6 crucial coaching basics that they read. I have a packet, because some people will do videos and some people will read a packet. So I've got both. I've got a packet that they read through. And then the access to the training, the getting started right call, and the Emerald call. And now the text strand is what I literally just added this past January. And in the text strand, the way I opened up the text strand was everybody introduced yourself and dropped the emojis of what you've completed below. So Coach University was like the graduation cap, and the Emerald call was a green something. And so they put their name and then dropped where they were. And nobody had dropped all 3 for Coach U, the getting started, and the Emerald. And so I said, okay, how about we set a date? And so we did February 9th. You need to finish all 3 of those things by February 9th, and your goal is to be Emerald by then as well. And so once a month, I set up, I'll do like a Friday. I don't teach on Fridays, so I'll do a Friday while my daughter is at school of one-on-one calls. But to get those one-on-one calls, you have to have graduated out of Coach University for brand new coaches. And then my older coaches, you need to hit Success Club. And so it just, as a mom and as a wife and as a full-time working person, I had to protect my time. And so, you know, it was like, if you prove to me that you can at least finish, if you can't finish Coach University and the homework, like, are you going to do the activities that it takes to coach? So it's been this beautiful, like, weeding out process of, I know who my runners are and I know where I need to put my time into now. So it's been enlightening, I guess.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to wrap.